Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, college football fans, sports fans across the nation and around the world. This is Tim May with the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall. Clay Hall, what's going on over there, man, in the shotgun seat?
Man, I had just had a great time with Jake Stoneburner, the former Ohio State tight end, now wealth manager. He's got
his own or other people?
No, he works for his dad's firm, but he's a little bit on his own, and so is his brother, who's under there. And I don't know if this is in the interview, but great point about a 72-yard catch against Penn State and how others are mimicking that particular reception. There's so much to talk about. He played for, like Ben Buchanan, he played for Tress, Fickle, and Urban. And
why is that relevant? Why is that relevant to today, to the 2025 Ohio State football team?
Well, I just think it's what it did for him in trying to please each guy and learning what it takes to be on your own a little.
But why is it relevant to this 2025 football team?
Because
what happened the last time Ohio State played football, which was against Grambling State?
Oh, well, of course, it's the tight ends. He was a tight end. And I think he still thinks a lot of his speed.
And what does that have? Why is that relevant to the 2025 Ohio State football team?
Because he has a huge smile on his face because they're using the tight end because
there you go.
Catches.
Finally.
Seven catches of Julian Sayin's 18 completions against Grambling State were to tight ends. He breaks that down a little bit, talks about each one as and their skills. And Max Clare as well, coming in, expected to be a playmaker. I kind of enjoyed Ryan Day's, like he wasn't fawning all over Max Clare. He was saying he had to make a transition from Purdue to Ohio State, and he's starting to get there.
Yeah.
And he had a catch as well. But those other three guys are pretty darn talented. Jelani Thurman had 3 of those 7 catches.
Yeah, bottom line is they're throwing the ball to the tight end. I mean, Max Clare dropped that first pass thrown to him officially against Texas, if you remember correctly. Maybe a little bit of a tough catch. He's also trying to get his feet down in bounds, and it didn't work out for him. The bottom line is Julian Sayin, and maybe it's a product of Brian Hartline pushing this button. Maybe it's a product of also the other guys involved, Ryan Day, Billy Fessler, the quarterback coach. Hey, let's get the ball to the tight ends. Everybody thought this was going to be just a wide receiver bonanza. Ohio State, led by Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and Brandon Ennis, just to name the first 3.
Yeah.
But Ohio State, several times this year, has had 4 tight ends on the field at the same time, which means no wide receivers and on the field at those moments, including their first touchdown of the year, C.J. Donaldson's drive off left tackle, where Nate Roberts led the way out of fullback, tight end / fullback led the way. They had 3 other tight ends on the field, and that was a big time, huge play in that game. Of course, when Ohio State won 14-7, and in this past week when they beat Grambling State, they got the tight ends totally involved. But you know what? You got to have a quarterback who understands the importance of it. We can talk about it all day, but he gets it. So we're going to have Jake Stoneburner. I'm hoping he's ruining the fact that, man, he had that one big play against Penn State way back when, right? But, you know, where were those other passes? Not very many compared to what we're seeing lately. You know, Kate Stover had a lot of catches too back in the day, you know, several years ago. But
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 14 catches, I think, led, well, certainly his career high, and I thought he said it might have led the tight end ranks, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But
the bottom line is they don't throw I mean, you know, we saw 7 passes to the tight ends last week against a team. They could have thrown the ball to anybody against that team.
Yeah.
But they focused on getting the tight ends involved, which sets the table for what's coming down the road. Well, when you have 2-3 tight ends out there, maybe we better focus on them. Wait a minute, who's that number 4?
Yeah,
that's right. Jeremiah Smith. Yeah. That's who I'm going to talk about first, though.
Okay.
You know, we've got stuff with Jeremiah Smith. I got post game. I didn't really get to load up for a Monday show, but for this, because Jeremiah Smith is an ongoing project. everybody talks about him like he's finished. This guy could be playing in the NFL right now, be all pro, be talking about in a Hall of Fame career. He's definitely going there. We're definitely going to be talking about him and a Hall of Fame career down the road. But here's a guy that dropped 2 passes against Texas, was bummed out about it because he expects perfection. He expects when he gets his hands on the ball, safe. It's a safe. Sure. Turn the knob, right? And
you called him a project.
No, he calls himself a project. I didn't call him a project. I was getting to the point that he does not see himself as a finished project or product.
Okay, all right.
And the bottom line is he talks about that, and about it to begin with. He's reminded that he had some gloves that weren't working for him at the beginning of that game against Texas, and clearly, whatever gloves he was wearing against Grambling worked extremely well, including on that 87-yard catch and run where. The best receiver in college football was left wide open.
He's leaking behind the D.
And then his other touchdown, we just kind of leaked into the back of the end zone, and they forgot about him. That's got to be joy. That's got to be just throw me the damn ball, right, and touchdown. But let's get to this conversation that me and several other colleagues had with Jeremiah Smith post game after his big performance against Grambling State. And by the way, he considers any game important. He'll talk about this, about the respect he had for Grambling State, even though Grambling State was outmanned across the board. And that started with Jeremiah Smith, anybody you'd put on Jeremiah Smith. But you always feel great when you're in the stadium and you make things happen.
No question. And he's a coach's dream because he puts equal weight into every game. And that's what coaches love. It's not we play this big Texas game, then we kind of skate through. No.
Yeah.
By the way, he's got 2 TDs in 2 games, 81 yards per game receiving, 11 catches. That's going to go way, way up, I think.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens against Ohio University this coming weekend. But let's get to this little conversation. Kind of gives you insight into how post-game interviews go when there's like 25 of us and there's only like 5 of us actually asking the questions. But here we go.
Especially the game I had last week, it was pretty bad game for myself. So I feel very special to get back in the end zone today.
Did you have the right gloves this time? I know last week you changed gloves, right?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
What's the importance of having the right gloves? I know it's kind of something small, but...
No, gloves just ain't have no grip. Try to grip the ball just slip out of my hands, but no, that's no excuse. I play receiver. My job is to catch the football. So.
Jeremiah, you jumped into the record book with that 87-yard catch and run. I mean, were you surprised they let you go there? And how long did that ball stay in the air in your mind? 45 seconds?
The ball was in there for a very long time, especially with the wind blowing. So, yeah, it was, pretty...
You know what I mean? It just seemed like it probably was.
Yeah,
right? But
yeah, for sure.
What happened on that play?
Corner, I guess they're supposed to be in a cloud or whatever, but, I guess they messed up on their side. So, Julian just found me and I touchdown. So, yeah.
Jeremiah, what have you thought about Julian's accuracy these first couple weeks?
It's crazy. I've been seeing it since his freshman year, since last year, spring we first got here, and it's not to surprise me at this point. I mean, he can make any and every throw, like I said before, and he's controlling the offense at a very good pace right now. I'm very excited for him.
I know the competition level wasn't what it was last week, but did you think that this was a good step forward for him?
Yeah, for sure. He feel very comfortable out there this week. Last week he was definitely comfortable as well, but this week, he definitely felt comfortable out there this week for sure.
How much did it motivate you just coming off last week and not having the game you wanted in week 1?
It motivated me a lot. Having a bad game, I should say. I dropped 2 passes, and I'm very hard on myself. So this whole week in practice, I was very hard on myself throughout the whole week. Just focus on catching the football. That was really the main point for me this week in practice. So yeah.
Can you talk about Will Kazmarek and just the tight ends? It seems like now you guys have even more weapons on offense now.
Yeah. Will Kazmarek, he's a guy. That that tough guy that we need to make, tough blocks. I mean, all the tight ends do a great job of making blocks, but him, Bennett Christian, Matt Claire, Jelani, all them guys, they do a great job, making tough blocks. So they've been doing a great job.
Jeremiah Carnell made another nice catch in the back of the end zone today. What have you seen from his ability to go up and make those contested catches?
I've been seeing it since I got here. I mean, all this stuff is nothing new. I'm very excited for Carnell and excited to see the things he do for the rest of the season.
What was it like to go from Texas, though, in that competition they offered, that like competition, to a game like this? What were you telling yourself about what had to happen, I guess, in this game from the standpoint of you guys being up for it, et cetera?
Yeah, just go out there and dominate. That's one thing we've been pushing all week. Don't play down to your competition. That was really the main thing for me personally. Just go out there and dominate, because I know we go out there and just play down to their competition. Okay, that's when we make it a game. So just go out there and dominate from first play.
Do you have respect for those guys from the standpoint of showing up and
yeah.
you know what I'm saying there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got respect for every opponent I go out there and play. No matter if it's gambling, we play Ohio State, but still I respect for anybody, because it's any given Saturday, I should say. We go out there and play around for a long time and end up being in the game with us. We end up losing. So I don't take nobody lightly, for sure.
You guys have 9 different guys score touchdowns. What's it like when you can spread the wealth a little bit and see some guys have some moments like that?
I mean, yeah, that's what we want to do. I mean, that's something Coach Hart and Coach David preaching all week. Got to get the young guys in there, get their feet wet a little bit. So that's best for them. Okay, good to see how things play out for them guys as well.
Is there anybody you're really excited to see find the end zone?
Bo Johnson. That's the guy right there. I've been saying this since spring. Bo Johnson is next up for sure.
What was it about Bo that stood out to you since the spring that made you feel that way?
I mean, he tough running back, fast. I mean, he could do it all. I mean, me and him was working out together in the offseason, and I was like, yeah, this guy is good. That's a great running back to come through for sure.
And what do you think Julian got out of this game more than anything else, from the standpoint of he was almost perfect except for one throw?
Oh, yeah.
But what does it do for him, do you think?
Build confidence, really. Yeah. That's really the biggest thing. Just building that confidence going into I mean, play Ohio, and that's what we play a team out west, Washington. That's a very good team. So just building that confidence, really. So yeah.
What's the limit on this offense, do you think, now? I mean, this may not be a good barometer for it one way or the other, but the fact that y'all kind of took care of business like expected, what does it tell you about this offense?
I mean, we very explosive, I should say. I mean, we still got a lot of things we need to work on offensively, but I feel like we still getting there. I mean, yeah, that's really it.
How much did you enjoy having an opponent like Texas Week 1 to kind of show things that you guys needed to work on?
I mean, it's this, like Coach Dave says, the issue's always there. I mean, we won a game, but it was always stuff we needed to fix throughout that game, and that's what we came in and did this week as well. Fix the issues, and went to practice and put it all on the field. So yeah.
Was there any issue you addressed personally after the 2 drops that you got, because you haven't dropped one since?
Yeah, just got the damn ball. That's
I mean, just mentally reset, or how would you describe it?
Yeah, I'm very hard on myself. So when I dropped them 2 passes, I was like, I don't know. I don't even want to say what I said to myself in my head, but I'm very hard on myself, and I don't like dropping the football, and I don't like making excuses for myself. But only thing I just got to catch the damn football, and yeah, that's all. Yeah.
What stood out to you about Julian, the way he's grown as a leader and kind of taking command of the huddle, as Coach Day likes to say?
Yeah, he's been doing a great job at it. He's been doing it. Since fall camp started, always been a guy commanding the huddle, telling everybody, let's go, let's get a drive going. He's just been doing it since then, so I'm very excited for him.
Thanks, man. Thank you, man. Thank you. What do you think there, Clay? I mean, like we talked about, I mean, the thing that stands out about Jeremiah Smith is he's never satisfied.
Right.
Nobody works. There may be people who work as hard as him, but no one works harder than him on this Ohio State football team. Pretty much you could say the same thing last year. And he just gets it, man. And he's in so many ways, we'll get to that in a minute, but he's a coach's dream. From the standpoint of maybe the best offensive player in college football based on what some experts say. I don't know if are you and I considered experts, by the way? I don't even know. I consider you an expert. I consider you an expert on getting the garage door fixed. Now you know what not to do.
Yeah. Well, you call somebody at 8:30 at night, and then the rate's going to go up, whether he says so or not. No,
I want to come over to your house and see if those torsion springs are gold plated, though. That's what I want to come over and see. But go ahead, though. You were going to make a point.
I think for the faithful, they want to see this, they want to see that, they want to see him go up and just dominate a DB, put him into
like going to an NBA game. You want to see some dunks.
Yeah, you do. There's no doubt, and that will come.
Yeah,
no question about it.
No doubt about it. Carnell Tate's had the 2 most outstanding catches so far this season.
He's got as many touchdowns as Jeremiah. Yeah. He's 7 catches, 59 a game. I'm just going through the stats.
Yeah.
But Day says it. I think in the next thing you're going to play about his mentality and
what it means to the team.
Right. Because and how many coaches have you heard say this? When your best players are your hardest workers, boy, you got something.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, because the other guys want to match it. I mean, they know people are watching.
Or they're going to get, embarrassed.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, though, Ohio State, man, I'm telling you, I keep driving home this point. Not slamming teams of the way past, but there isn't. I can't think of one player on this team who isn't motivated. I mean, to do it on his own, if in fact no one's driving him. You know, the old line, what are you doing when nobody's watching?
Right.
This team is loaded with guys who are, in my opinion, example makers of just motivated because they want to get to the next level. They also want to be part of something special, just like last year. And when your 2 most celebrated players going into this season, Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, have the work ethic they do and the study ethic they do to get ready for games. And then they deliver.
Yeah.
On top of all that, they deliver plays. It's just motivational or great exemplary, I guess, for the rest of the team. And that's not gushing. That is true.
You know, so many Ohio State regarded by many as the best program in the country. Jake Stoneburner will talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
In terms of notoriety, in terms of brand, it's the Yankees, it's the I forgot the other team he said, and then it's the Buckeyes.
Cowboys?
I wish.
Yeah, maybe.
I wish. The Yankees, the Lakers, and the Buckeyes. Yeah. But in terms of that brand and that notoriety and the power of it, that's part of his conversation. But they just taken and Stoney thinks that some of the stuff they did with Urban really kicked off this
absolutely
this new run.
But I remind people, I mean, there was that big moment, that big little dip, 2011, when Tressel gets replaced. Wait, let me finish. When Tressel gets replaced by Fickle, the end of May of that year, because of Tattoo-gate, which was, man, it's just hard to believe the end of the Tressel era was because of that. Talk about overreacting by the school, et cetera, overreacting by the NCAA. And but my point is, ever since Jim Tressel showed up, but then you go back to the early 90s when John Cooper and company got things turned around. But from 94 through 98, that was as good a program as there was in the country.
No doubt.
Especially in those, 96, 97, 98 era, 95, 96, 97, 98 era. That was as good as anybody in the country.
Double-digit
They just didn't win a national championship because back then, it wasn't even a BCS back then. BCS came around in 98, and you had to be literally perfect. Right. Now you don't have to be perfect. But the ilk of player, the level, the quality of player and individual that's on this team now the last several years, and it's been increasing in my opinion. I talked to Jerry Emick about that a lot, the Ohio State Sports Information Director for football. He and Michael Bassford talked to him about it a lot. I mean, this is just a quality group of people, and they all want to be better. They all want to be better today than they were yesterday, and better tomorrow than they were today. And so let's just play this video where Ryan Day, when I asked him about what it tells you about Jeremiah Smith being down on himself. Of course, everybody knew he was because we all know what he's about, but kind of what that also brings to the team.
Jeremiah Smith talked at length after the game on Saturday how bummed out he was about those drops in the first game and stuff, and right on down the line. What does that tell you about him? I mean, his work ethic, et cetera. I mean, you rave about him all the time, but the way he bounced back, so to speak. But he needed that game, even though the opponent was what it was, right?
Well, he's very, very competitive, very proud, works his tail off every day in practice. I mean, we try to pull him back, say, and he fights you on it because he just wants to get better every day. It's just the mindset and makeup, and he is an unbelievable example. And I think sometimes our players, I know the wide receivers probably do, and some of the guys on offense, so, we'll look at Jeremiah. Do you ever see Jeremiah do this? Do you ever see, and after a while, I think they get tired of it, but it's because he sets the example every day. And when you have your best players who have that type of work ethic, a guy like Carnell Tate, I mean, what an example he sets for the guys. Brandon Innes, and so your best players are the ones that are setting the tone, and that's a great sign. But when he drops the ball, it's nobody even bats an eye. I mean, certainly we're disappointed, but it's not like anybody thinks like he's not going to catch the next one. Because what we see in practice every day tells us that he's going to catch the next one. So there's never any doubt there, and we have all the confidence in the world. And that's one of the things that I try to share with the guys all the time. The harder you work in practice, and the more you do it in practice, the more confidence you have when you're on the field. Yeah. If you're not doing it in practice every day, you aren't going to have confidence. Like going into a test and not being prepared. If you don't know, the material when you go into a test, you're nervous because you don't know what's going on. But if you studied your tail off and you know exactly what's on that test, you walk in, you take it, you walk out. It's the same way as we prepare for games. And Jeremiah is a great example of somebody that prepares really hard.
Yeah, I mean, just like we talked about, and Ryan Day has to talk about him a lot because he gets asked about him a lot.
Sure.
But to see Jeremiah get back on the beam, like I said, it was against Grambling. They probably could have thrown the ball to Jeremiah Smith 30 times in a row.
Yep.
And scored 150 points. Really, because he would have beaten almost any coverage as long as they had protection and right on down the line. So, yeah, going into this Ohio U game, it was unfortunate, by the way. I saw a video of the Ohio U coach being asked about Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith, two of the best players in college football. And
that's what he meant.
And yeah. And but he kind of mixed it up, Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs with Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate in his own brain, because obviously I'm sure they're scrambling to figure it out. And by the way, we keep talking about Parker Navarre. They're Ohio U's really good playmaking dual threat quarterback. But, dude, their defense shut down West Virginia last week for the most part. So Ohio State will have that nut to crack going into this one. But the thing about it is when you add a tight end room like Ohio State, I think it's unprecedented as long as I've been covering Ohio State. Ohio State's almost always had a really good tight end, but they've rarely ever had two or three tight ends. And they've played 5 in the first two games. Yeah. They played, I think, 5 against Texas. 5 got on the field. That didn't mean they all caught passes or even in the passing attack. But the thing about it is about under Keenan Bailey, the tight ends coach, and folks, you've got to prove you can block. And that was one of Max Clare's challenges coming from Purdue, where he was their featured receiver, So that was what Ryan Day was talking about when he talked about Max Clare the other day, is that he's catching on of what's expected. And by the way, Max Clare is not reluctant or he's not a tough student. He's not being a tough student to teach. He's just like coming along. I mean, he's a team player, man. I mean, and you kind of like the way he comes. But it was really funny because we talk about Ohio U, but see Will Kazmarek catch that ball down the seam. Yeah, Julian Sayin's first touchdown the other day. Right, wide open ball, right on the money, touchdown. Yeah. And Will Kazmarek, a transfer from Ohio U a year ago, playing for Ohio State on that national championship team. He's got to be pretty fired up about this one. But, you talked to a former Ohio State tight end and Jake Stoneburner. We talked about it a minute ago. And, I'll turn it over to you, but he's got to be he would have to be champing at the bit to get in the time machine and go back. Well, or spring his career forward to this moment where, no doubt, wow, they're throwing the ball to the tight ends and they're playing a lot.
Yeah, he was wondering why the eligibility for NIL only goes to a certain date. Why can't we go 2 more years? And I said, well, Pryor and many others are trying to.
That's where the agreement got to, with the NCAA. So
yeah. I did want to, when Ryan said you go into a test and you're not prepared, I kind of got that cold sweat all over again. I promise I'll get to Jake. I'm sure you were a very prepared summa cum laude student, but me and
no, I was summa cum lately.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought about chemistry in high school and it was a disaster.
But go ahead, get to the Jake Stoneburner
Right,
part.
Let's do, because
I don't know where you were going with your chemistry.
well, I couldn't get in when he said. Anyway,
What? When he said what?
Be prepared. Don't go into the classroom unprepared.
Oh, yeah.
That's when you have problems. And as your guy, Mr. JJ will never be unprepared.
No.
As for Jake, now 9 years in the financial world, but certainly watching Buckeye football very close. And it was a great conversation, wide ranging. I think you'll enjoy it. His greatest play, just remember, 72-yard touchdown catch at Happy Valley, and his son loved it too. Jake Stoneburner, former Buckeye tight end, NFL tight end as well. Jake, how are you enjoying the beginning of the Buckeye season?
No complaints. Number one in the country. Just blew out Grambling. They didn't even score, which is always great. And you beat the number one team at home the first week of the season. I would say things over at Ohio State University are about as good as they can get right now.
Give me your take on the loaded tight end room.
Seems like they got 4 guys that can play at any point. They brought in Max Clare from Purdue. He seems to be a playmaker, but also seems they have a lot of confidence in the other 3 guys. Will scored the big first touchdown against Grambling. It was an awesome play. They're big, they can block, they can move. It seems like they like to rotate all 4 guys, and so that's a good problem to have for sure.
Tell me who you played for 3 head coaches.
Yep.
Tress, Fickle, and Urban. Who used the tight end better than the others?
That's a loaded question. Obviously, Urban was known for using his tight end.
Yeah.
But I think it had a lot to do with just like personnel. I led the team in catches with Coach Fickle, albeit it was only 14, I think.
Yeah.
So technically, Coach Fickle threw to the tight end the most, but I don't think we threw it at all that year. Urban's offense was just ahead of its time when it got here. But it also dictates who's at quarterback. We had a lot of running quarterbacks. With Tress was here, we had 2 or 3 first-round running backs. I think Carlos Hyde went in the second round. Him and Beanie, you kind of just play with your personnel. And at that point when Tress was there, we were more of a running offense. We had Jake Ballard was ahead of me, and he was like an offensive tackle. So we didn't get the ball too often. But, even today's day and age with the team, they're still not getting the ball as much as I'm sure they'd like. But we'll take touchdowns when we get them, that's for sure.
Yeah, 7 catches out of 18 completions, not bad.
No, not at all.
Do you think that was Keenan Bailey saying, hey, feed my guys? Was it Brian go, hey, I got to use this talent? Or was it Brian throw the ball to these guys?
It seemed like Will's touchdown was, I don't want to say designed, but those type of routes, you're going to hit them. And so they must have, and that was earlier enough in the offensive series that it was probably scripted. But they seem to be a reliable target, or a drop down target for a young quarterback, which is always nice. Big targets, easy, good hands, and that's always nice for a young, I don't want to say rookie, but freshman quarterback. And I think the coaches have a lot of confidence in them and being in the right place and be able to make those plays, and so they're putting them in those positions. They just have so many talented guys there; they can just spread it out to tight ends, running backs, receivers. They're probably trying to get more targets, but they've got 2 of the best receivers in the country there too, so it's tough sledding for them.
My buddy and partner Tim May has always believed that the tight end is open on every play.
We are, don't worry.
Is that right?
We are, yeah. Whether there's a guy on us or not, especially the bigger tight ends. I think Will and Jelani are both like 6'5", 6'6". DBs on them are half their size, so in our opinion, we're always open. At least I felt like that when I was there, and I'm sure those guys feel the same way. And they've been making a heck of a lot of plays. They're taking over 50% of the targets when Julian's throwing, so they're doing something right.
No question about it. You and a former colleague, Ben Buchanan, played for 3 Ohio State coaches, Tress, Fickle, Urban. Reflect on that a little bit. What did that do for you maybe now of having a taste of all 3?
Definitely not what I signed up for when I got there. 100% wanted to be with Tress. The things we kind of went through seem trivial compared to what's going on now as far as guys getting paid and guys got tattoos and we lost 2 full seasons from it. So I think having all 3 was a good experience. I'm glad I got Urban for a year, going 12-0. Fickle, that was a tough year. He did a great job trying to lead what he could, but that's just always very tough coming into that.
Yeah.
And we won a lot of games with everyone. So each coach had its different tastes. Urban was in your face. Tress was a little more reserved, but we won a lot of games with both. Went undefeated with Urban, kind of kickstarted this whole decade and a half of Ohio State's success, which we loved. But truthfully, it was a little bit of a carousel, and my last 2 years having 2 different coaches wasn't ideal, but when you end your senior year going 12-0, I guess there's no room for complaining, that's for sure.
And you kind of indicated he was very tough, but he mellowed. Urban mellowed.
I think
a little bit.
Yeah, he came in. I think we went 7-8 the season before, and so he was like, we got to change this ship around. Regardless if you're a 5th-year senior or a brand new freshman, he was up in your face, making sure you got things right. And as the season went on, and we started proving things to him, and we went 12-0. He's like, okay, I got my dudes here, and then I had to go to the NFL. And so the guys that were there were able to. He was able to work with them a little more, understand what their needs and wants, their abilities. Whereas we really didn't get that. It was just kind of balls to the wall right when we got there, which worked. Again, we didn't lose a game, but way different than when Tress was there, that's for sure. It was probably the most intense year of my life. Doesn't help, I got in a little bit of trouble and all that stuff. I just think Urban had really high expectations for me, which you would want as a coach. And at first I was kind of timid to live up to those, but finally got in the groove and understand his coaching, and then just in time for me to graduate and leave. So I always wish I had a few more years with him, but I enjoyed my time there for sure.
Was he tough on you after the early incident at the bogey?
Yeah, tough on me, like he said, his son. He was just disappointed, because to him we were like his kids, and
sure.
He wanted us to be successful, and obviously we made a bad decision, and we kind of regretted it for sure. We paid for it, a lot of conditioning. We got removed off scholarship for a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think we put in the work to earn his trust back. And then you put the work on the field, and he ends up start really believing in you. He was really hard on me. I think he just had a lot of expectations for me, and I had a lot of expectations for myself, and
sure.
He made sure I lived up to those, which I really, really, really respect for. I just wish I had another year with him where we really could have taken things to the next level, but
wow,
just kind of how it goes. He's really good at developing.
Yeah.
I just feel like I had a lost year between Tress and Urban.
Sure.
Not that Fickle, he was a great head coach. It was just kind of half your team's gone.
Yeah.
You're just in this limbo. Wish they would have taken that year for the suspension.
Sure.
12-0 and go play the national championship.
Right.
That and no NIL are 2 things that live big in my head of the big what ifs, but can't complain being, I think there's only 4 or 5 undefeated teams ever at Ohio State. And see our banner in the hallway when you're walking down in the tunnel, it's pretty sweet.
Awesome. Yeah. Walk with me, because I want to remind people, was this your greatest moment, 72 yards?
Yeah, I think so. I grew up with a lot of buddies who liked Penn State, and
is that right?
I scored every time I played against them, and I had 2 buddies at this game, and I just been searching for this play, and Braxton Miller actually was like, we need a big guy to run the post because they go one-on-one and we could score. And it was 3rd and 8, and he goes, let's run this play, and we did it. And it's funny,
that was his call?
Oh, he's like, we need a big guy to run the post in the middle. And I was like, let's do it. And a couple possessions later, we did it, 72-yard house call. I show my 3.5-year-old son, I show him the video of that.
Yes.
And he, in the video, I think it was Fowler. He's like, they're not going to catch Stoneburner. And so my son, anytime he has a football, he's running around the house saying, you're not going to catch Stoneburner. So it's been quite the amusing thing in my house. He loves running around like dad, which is pretty freaking sweet, honestly.
No doubt about it.
He loves the Buckeyes already, so we got him indoctrinated early.
Yeah, no doubt. You were on the active roster of the Packers and the Dolphins.
Yep.
You caught 2 touchdowns as a Miami Dolphin. Does that?
There.
Yeah, there you go. That has to be right up there as well.
Yeah, I was the 72-yarder at Penn State, and then I scored in Wembley in London.
No kidding.
At the time, I didn't realize how big Wembley was as far as international stadium and what's the legacy of artists, players that have played through there, and to think that I got to score out there was pretty incredible. So I really wasn't even planning on playing that game. I was like a backup, and the starter got hurt, and next thing I'm thrown in there, and I'm scoring a touchdown. You're like, wow, this is crazy. Hundreds of texts. That felt really surreal. The 72-yarder at Penn State, I always felt like I was born to play at Ohio State, so it was like, all right, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. In the NFL, I was like, this is icing on the cake, and I scored a touchdown in England. It just didn't feel real. Still doesn't, honestly. When I watched them on TV, I'm like, I can't believe I did that.
No kidding.
Yep.
Tell us about your life now. You got a little one?
Yeah, I got a 3.5-year-old living in Powell, Delaware.
Yeah.
A couple dogs. Run my own financial advising shop with my dad and brother. Been doing this 8 years post-football.
Have you?
Yeah, I majored in financial planning at Ohio State. Was always, once football was done, was planning on working with dad. And this will actually, 26 will be year 9, which is crazy. Really enjoying it, helping people save money, build wealth. My dad's been doing it for like 35 years, so it's just kind of
good teacher.
Yeah, good teacher, helping people emotionally figure out, their finances. I felt like football was such an up and down of money, emotions, stress. I kind of relay that to a lot of my clients, but it's really layman's terms, we're just talking money.
Perfect.
Not running gassers or anything like that.
All right, Jake, when I get a couple nickels rubbed together, I'll bring them over.
Come on down. We're always available.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Let me tell you.
Go ahead. Start over again. I hit the wrong button.
Great stuff with Jake. A guy who could definitely be a TV type of guy. He's got a young son. As I found out with Rob Harley, not everybody wants to grind in TV. He's got a great career, et cetera, et cetera. And we've been informed that he is the Ohio State all-time record holder in tight end touchdown catches with 13. 3 of those, by the way, from Joe Bauserman. At least 3. He had, I think, 3 in one game. He had 21 catches in 2010, the most since Benjamin Hartsock, 33 in 03. He tells a funny story after he left the Dolphins, where his position coach was Dan Campbell. I think I've got that right. He was shipped, or he, at that point, I think he said, I'm tired of chasing it, et cetera, et cetera. He did take a call with the Bills, and they wanted him to come in, and he said, I think I'm done. And that was during the time the Memorial was being played, and he ran into Mr. Nicholas, he and his pop, and his dad said, "Do you remember Jake?" "Oh yeah. Are you still in the NFL?" And he says, "Nah, I think I'm giving it up. I really do." And Jack said, "Well, you ought to try the Bills. You really should give them a call." And he said, "Yeah." I gave
Jack said that?
He did.
Wasn't his grandson there at that point?
Nick O'Leary was there.
Yeah.
And he said, "I think you could play. You might be better than Nick. I don't know." And he said, "No, I'm giving it up." He goes, "I actually 2 days ago told him I'm not interested." So he stuck with his decision. It's worked out very well for him. And he just is very articulate and well-spoken.
Yeah, I like how he would have liked to have had a few more years under Urban Meyer, because Urban Meyer, Urban Meyer's gift, and some people call it his curse, or if they played for him, some people, but I think most people appreciated that he did not take anything but your best. He did not tolerate that. You giving him anything but your best. Number one, that's how he won 3 national championships. Number 2, he figured out people's buttons and pushed them.
Right.
And that includes his coaching staff. Not everybody who worked for him or played for him saw him in any form or fashion as a warm, cuddly guy. You know what I mean?
Well,
but it was there was no doubt about his method. And it's, like some guys, like you heard him not regret, but boy, it would have been cool to be under him for a couple, 3 years just to see what he'd gotten out of him. And he's right. The trivial things that Jim Tressel and the team suffered for in 2011. After that quote investigation, end quote, or crazy when you think about it. By the way, but what's funny, in 2011, he caught 14 passes. 7 were for touchdowns. That was Jake Stoneburner.
Wow.
So he had a tremendous 2011, even though the team did not. But he bounced back on an undefeated team at Ohio State, one of the few handful of teams that have gone undefeated at Ohio State were kept from playing in the postseason, including in the BCS national championship game because of that, because of their transgressions, trivial transgressions. And it is what it is at this point. But it's always cool, to catch up with a guy like that because, there have been great players all along at Ohio State. You know that.
Yeah.
After moving into Columbus like 30 years ago, whatever it was, when you started covering Ohio State for Channel 6 and Fox 28. By the way, how come y'all don't call it ABC 6? Maybe y'all did.
Always did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
You didn't watch it.
I guess I didn't.
Yeah.
But I watched it occasionally
Well,
when I wasn't watching my friend Dom.
When you say Urban and his development, to push you to the end.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that first video that was shot, after practice, whatever, before a practice. I don't want to coach average. Like, don't give me that. Don't come out here.
Right.
Don't cross the line if you can't. And that's just always stuck with me.
Absolutely.
That's why you don't go into the classroom without doing your homework.
That's exactly right.
Because you'll be embarrassed. And as I think I made a 12 on a chemistry exam in high school. It drew the ire of my parents.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That'll get you in trouble.
I remember that happened to me. That happened to me in the ninth grade, where I found out I wasn't going to be able to fulfill my lifelong dream, and it had been almost lifelong, of going to the Air Force Academy because I didn't have 20/20 vision. Matter of fact, as the optometrist said when I was in the first grade, when I first got glasses, your son's never seen leaves on trees.
Wow.
But I went into a funk there for a little while, and then I rebounded the second half of my freshman year. It was we had junior high and high school down in Texas. That means 7, 8, 9 was junior high, and 10, 11, 12 was high school. And I got back together. I still soloed in an airplane on my 16th birthday, so I felt good about fulfilling some of that stuff and other tales down the line when it came to flying, which maybe I'll get to someday, maybe not. But the bottom line is everybody has dreams. And what was interesting about Jake was in the National Football League. He scored a few touchdowns in the National Football League, and and like he said, he got to play Wembley, just like Queen. Remember Queen?
Yeah, heck
and at Live Aid when they played, So he and Freddie Mercury both drew huge applause or huge ovations while playing Wembley. That's got to be as cool as it gets.
Yeah, he said it was crazy. He goes, they don't care who you are, what you are. You scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
In Wembley.
Yeah.
He said his phone was off the hook. But
anyway, getting back to what we're talking about, the tight ends are playing a huge role on this Ohio State football team and will continue to do so. Please don't drum on the table because it gets picked up by all the
I've done that since
all the microphones throughout this lavish studio. But the bottom line is, it's cool. But the way the tight ends are coming along with Ohio State now, what will be the next step for this offense? A full incorporation. I thought we saw it against Grambling, a full incorporation of everybody who's eligible to catch a pass. They did.
Got one. As
in that interview with Jeremiah Smith, as Adam Jardy pointed out, 9 different guys scored touchdowns. I think that's a correct stat. I may be wrong, but
I wonder if that's got to be a record. You think?
I don't know. I mean, they've had some games where they scored more points than that. Right. I didn't look that up. So on this show, if you don't know the answer to the question, don't bring it up.
Well, Famu scored 76, and I think that is the all-time shutout record.
Yeah, but
so I give you something there.
I picked Ohio State 63-0 on the tailgate show, 97.1 The Fan, and of course I was bummed out to see that last touchdown get scored.
Well, yeah, you were on the number.
I was more bummed out about it, I think, than Grambling was. But it was what it was. Ohio State was just running the ball. What do you want to do? Just take a knee for 3, 4, 5 minutes? You know,
you put the second or third teamers in there. It's like Coop used to say, I can't put these guys in there and tell them not to score.
Lay down. I mean, nobody's going to do that.
How are they going to progress,
correct,
or develop, or get to the promised land if they can't find the land of milk and honey?
Anybody who's butthurt over that, you know, just needs to get into coaching, playing, or covering another sport. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But it is what it is. I mean, even in college basketball, they got a shot clock. You got to shoot. You know?
That's right.
You may be up 110-40. You still got to shoot.
There's no more Phil Ford in the four corners.
There you go. Phil Ford in the four corners. That sounds like a group, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It absolutely it sounds like a group.
Yeah.
A group that you had heard in your preteen years.
It's funny because the two tight ends we're talking about now, Max Clare and Will Kazmarek, mainly of this on this team right now. Jelani Thurman obviously was recruited by Ohio State, but Max Clare and Will Kazmarek came in through the transfer portal, and Max Clare didn't get here till like what, June.
Right.
So this sets up my other piece of video from where I asked Ryan Day about the proposal right now is for a moving instead of having two transfer portal windows, which were very wide open, like 30 days each, I think.
Right.
Now shortening that to one transfer portal window in January. This is put forth by a steering committee or whatever with the NCAA for 10 days. I mean, you can enter the transfer portal over 10 days. It doesn't mean you have to be plucked out of it.
Right.
But, last year, Ohio State played 3 games in the month of January 1, and then they played Texas in the college football playoff semifinal, and then played for the national championship on whatever it was, January 20th. That was during their busiest time of the year.
I can't imagine.
Devin Brown obviously had already said he was going to transfer, but he stuck with Ohio State through that time. He transferred to California, and then he got beat out in preseason camp for the starting job there at quarterback. But what I'm pointing out here, a lot of huge decisions have to be made while some teams are still playing. So if you talk about the quarterfinals, the quarterfinals include 8 teams. Do I have that right? Yeah, 8 teams in the NCAA, the college football playoff, and you're going to have to be dealing. Those 8 teams are also going to have to be dealing with the transfer portal of guys making decisions right on down the line. I mean, well, here's what Ryan said when I asked him about that.
Are you a fan, by the way, of the proposed change in the transfer portal to one-time January? Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, no. I don't think it's a good idea at all. In the conversations that we had with the Big Ten coaches, I think the majority of them agree. I just don't quite understand how, for teams that are playing in the playoffs are expected to, make the decisions and sign their upcoming players while they're still getting ready to play for games. It doesn't make any sense to me. I know the calendar is funky, but I know that the Big Ten and Tony Petitti's been working hard because he doesn't believe it either, and neither the coaches in the Big Ten. We had a lot of long discussions about that and tried to work through the different windows, but I don't agree with it being in January.
Well, and then you had a former coach on your staff trying to negotiate a new contract during that period as well, which just seemed ludicrous, almost like this proposal, which is not going into effect today.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot going on with Jim Knowles at that point because he wanted to be the highest paid defense coordinator in college football. I don't blame him. They had the number 1 defense. They came all the way back from being 59th in 2021 before he showed up to having the number 1 total defense in the country. And he wanted to get paid, but boy, the timing of asking for it in the build-up week before the national championship game was really curious.
No,
let's put it that way.
Full props to what he fashioned with that defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they were dominant and the best in the country. But just give it a few days. Do you not think they're going to try to retain you?
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe
well,
he didn't
I mean,
I don't know.
Their whole approach was they did make an offer the way I understand it. And
maybe it wasn't as
no. Well, yeah, but it was almost what Penn State ended up offering, but they could only go to a certain limit. We're talking about $2.5 million.
Right.
He wanted to be the highest paid. He wanted to be, I think, 3 is what they were maybe asking, and I think whatever the number was, Penn State ended up giving him 2.6, whatever it was. He left. Now Ohio State's got Matt Patricia. Push. That's a push as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And maybe even an upgrade because it paid dividends in that season opener against Texas when Texas was seeing things it had never seen 8 months earlier from that Ohio State defense. The little things, the nuances, the tweaks that Matt Patricia brought to the fore. People are still raving about it. Because like last week, you saw none of that because he didn't need it.
Right.
They lined up and played fairly base defense most of the day.
Yeah, and Brian was talking about just the emphasis on that first game and what it meant to them. And every day, a period of Texas, of course, but it was like the blinders are on. This is the game we have to get this thing started right because you don't want to be playing catch up for the rest of the year.
Or mustard. What's funny is when we were talking about the transfer portal, the reason I asked Ryan about that is I had an inkling he wasn't for it. Number one, obviously, but number two, give kudos to the NCAA trying to get a handle on the transfer portal madness.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing:
mm-hmm.
right now, you can't tell a guy, no, you can't leave, or you can try to dissuade him.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting interviews there all along. I mean, about this football team and where it's going, and with Ryan Day. I'm sorry we had a little bit of a glitch there in the midst of our recording, but it is what it is at this point. And Clay, I wanted to ask you. I mean, here's Ohio State getting ready to play Ohio U. We're going to talk about this game a little bit more in depth, just the matchup of it, just from an historical standpoint and a hysterical standpoint. Including the time the Bobcat ran down Brutus Buckeye on the field and tackled him, and then they chased him down. They got after it again. The brouhaha that I think Channel 4 ran an in-depth interview with both the Bobcat and with Brutus Buckeye, who were involved in that. Like Brutus was totally taken aback, like what's up? And clearly this guy the Bobcat wanted to make a name for himself, even though he was anonymous. He's not anonymous anymore, but it did make all the highlight reels, right?
I missed the story, but yeah.
Just go ahead.
It wasn't hysterical when Ohio University led Ohio State. I don't know how far deep in the game that was, but I thought
right. It was late. It was late. I mean, it was
second half.
It was second half.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that on Friday.
Can you believe they're a 33-point underdog?
Yeah, I do believe that.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
If you look at the game, let's save that for Friday because I do want to talk about that. Why a team that just upset West Virginia and came close to beating Rutgers in the season opener, a Big Ten member, why they might be a 33-point underdog at Ohio State on Saturday because they're all kinds of reasons for that. So we can throw a lot of our expertise into that. But, the other interesting thing is the way the Browns and Bengals ended last week and the Browns not being able to get a field goal and right on down the line. I just wanted to get your take on that before we're done. Just, as you covered the Browns and the Bengals, occasionally at Channel 6 and Fox 28 back in the day, what was your take on how important they were to the state of Ohio?
Well, in some ways, I felt,
how did you play that? I guess, and go ahead.
It was the lead Sunday at 6.
Yeah,
unless you're coming off a national championship, etc., and they are mired in a 7-8 season or whatever it might be. I just the frustration of watching a kicker miss a point after touchdown and a field goal just to the Browns come up 1 point short. This was a guy I heard was like 90-something%
Yeah.
in spring, fall camp, OTAs. I mean, the kid, rookie, I think, from Syracuse, Schmidt is what I think is
that's how you pronounce it, I think. But go ahead, though.
Yeah, just I mean, what do you say to a mile? I'm like, that guy, he just needs to walk down the road, get in his car, and go home.
Yeah.
Can you imagine facing Myles Garrett, 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, all these pressures, and just they're so close to starting their own season with a dub, and somehow the Bengals walk away with, 17-16. But no, they're important. I always felt like they were like in some other state. Why don't they just join forces? And then, and that's why.
Well, I mean, the Bengals got started because Paul Brown basically, in essence, got run out of Cleveland, by Art Modell. After Art Modell, that whole generation back in the early '60s and early mid '60s, and he wanted to start his own football team and started in the AFC there with the Cincinnati Bengals. And it was Paul Brown's baby. Then it was his baby, and his family inherited his baby. And it's grown up to be what it is. The funny thing about it, though, I was just wondering who felt what, because the Browns had to feel robbed. Browns fans, I know my son Corey, my middle kid, my son Corey, has been a devout Browns fan forever. He was at the game. He and his wife, his new wife, and Liz, and they were just so crestfallen.
Yeah.
But then, because he'd lost the game and they should have won it, there were other plays in that game, not just the missed kicks that cost them. Finally, the missed kick did cost you the victory at the end. But then you're the Bengals. The Bengals did nothing on offense.
Nothing.
After the first drive or so, they did very little. Joe Burrow, but they got the win. And this is coming off a season where they did everything on offense and couldn't get wins when they needed them. And so it gets back to what matters most. The W, baby.
That's all that matters.
That's what matters most. And so the Bengals are feeling so much better about themselves than they were this time a year ago.
I just can't imagine being a Browns fan is like being a Mississippi State fan. You're trying to have success in the most, I don't know, not poor, but the toughest league against this tremendous competition. And it just seems like the calluses and the sores that have grown on you.
I'm glad you didn't say festered. Go ahead.
After disappointment after disappointment, I've heard people on the radio just wanting to I just can't. My son was the same way about Mississippi State. He goes, I can't believe, why are they not allowed to win?
Yeah.
Why are they not? And I was like, I wasn't going to drag you into this, but now anyway.
Hey, what is it like, by the way? Because Mississippi State should never in any conversation ever be confused for Ohio State when it comes to football success, right on down the line. And then in your part of the fan base, just because where you were born, but like you talked about your son, et cetera. What is it like when your favorite team, which doesn't always live in the limelight of college football, rarely lives in the limelight of college football, gets a major win? What does it do for you?
Well, I stayed up till 2:30 on Saturday night looking at all the videos, looking at all the replays, all the coaches' reactions, and it is. My wife was like, I know you're going to be up for 3 hours. The euphoria, I think, of that. And I get it. And when I came here to cover Ohio State, I just was like, they have so many advantages. They recruit such great talent.
Wait a minute. I thought the SEC was great across the board. Go ahead now.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's not.
But Mississippi State just doesn't have those. No, I did hear that their endowment's now over $1 billion. So
wow,
they've done some fundraising there.
Oh yeah, their AD's a hell of a fundraiser, by the way.
but it's just it's few and far between. And, at some points you just have to check out. And I think that's what Browns fans do.
Yeah.
At some point, I can't take any more disappointment. We were kind of cruising with this Mike Leach, the Pirate, throws it all over the yard. And the man lays down on the couch one Sunday afternoon and passes away.
Yeah.
And then your program regresses for 2 years. You make a bad, and I'll tell you, our friend Bo Bishop has said this. Ohio State has done its work in hiring a coach.
Oh yeah.
They have aced the test the last 4, whatever it's been, 3, 4. And Coop had a great run, had some issues with the last game. But this thing is so good and so stable that when you're hired, you're told by Urban Meyer, just win every game. That's all you have to do here.
Yeah.
And how many times has he said, yeah, this is a great job. Try losing the game.
Try losing the game. Exactly.
And that guy at the grocery store parking lot is on your tail.
Yeah.
But yeah, the highest,
although if I'm making $12 million a year, I can have somebody else doing my grocery shopping.
There you go.
But it's just about the Woody was hired in 51, 52, 53. Since the 4th year of Woody Hayes'
that's right
regime.
And he got some flack at the end, did he not?
Well, no, he got flack in the middle of his regime. They were flying planes over the stadium, Woody must go and whatever, back in 67. And then all of a sudden came the super softs. Boom, there they go again. And really since 68 on,
yeah, they've been
with just a couple of blips, just about 3 or 4 blips. It's been the best program in the country, no doubt about it, in terms of if you judge it by the W's, like we just talked about.
Yeah.
If you judge by the W's, nobody's been better on a consistent basis than Ohio State under Woody Hayes, Earl Bruce, Jim Trussell. Luke Fickell really never had a chance there that 1 year because they took away they didn't let him hire any coaches except
right.
Mike Vrabel, and they took his best players were missing because they were suspended and or left because of the tat gate, and then of course Urban Meyer and Ryan Day. They really hit the home run in Ryan Day, and the great thing was they got to watch him coach 3 games, run the show through preseason camp, and then 3 games in 2018 when Urban was put on suspension for another strange occurrence. But
I like that Ryan Day went over TCU in the 3-game stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. But the bottom line was Ryan Day learned what to do, what not to do as a head coach, leaned on his assistant coaches then. And what we've seen now since 2019, you've seen him mature every year another way as a head coach until last year. He's definitely got on the headphones and he will definitely veto plays and things like that. But he turned it over to Chip Kelly, and now Brian Hartline's doing it. The head coach always has the final say.
For sure.
But now that he has become a bona fide across the board head coach with everything that's going on that a head coach has to deal with, that isn't football, that isn't the actual playing of the game, I think he's as good as there is in the business.
No question.
And I don't think anybody, if you argue that, then you're just being partial for somebody who's your favorite. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about you, but anybody out there. And I think he's really grown and shown what he's all about. And I'm talking about on the intelligence level. I mean, that's where Woody was very smart. Jim Trussell was very intelligent. Earl was very intelligent in his own way, just not necessarily in euphemisms, as he liked to say. That's water under the dam. He referred to Greg McMurtry, Michigan receivers, Fred McMurray. Those are just faux pas. But any head coach who's really damn good anymore is extremely intelligent.
I just think he wears the mantle better than he used to. He's grown into the job.
Right.
And there's nothing like a national championship to give you the cred that you can, especially with the way they did it. And I guess that's the way it's going to have to be done against great teams down that 4-game run. I walked out of, I think I was watching with my mom in South Carolina. I was like, I don't know if that's ever going to be duplicated.
Me neither.
And then I thought about it.
That's what you got to do now.
Yeah, that's part and parcel of the way it has to be done. You have to beat great teams, and you got to win 4 games. So
Well,
At least-
three if you get a bye, but if you
Right.
get the bye, it's probably because you won your conference championship game. So you've got to win 4 big games.
Yeah, and just the way they smoke.
And of course, when it goes to 16 or 24 or 28 or 104
48,
teams,
yeah.
whatever, 48, yeah. We'll see where that goes.
All right.
Well, I think we've talked our way out of this one.
All right, sir.
We're going to be back
Love it.
with our 3rd show of the week. I like doing these 3 shows a week instead of just one because I really appreciate this fanstreamsports.com giving us this platform. I'm trying to, like Ringo or George Harrison,
Okay.
I'm trying to find more and more songs that you can sing by yourself. I'm just messing with you. You know that. You know how much I appreciate you, my man.
I'm not going to be singing.
Hey, by the way, a treat for you. During the off week for the team, it's all from having to play, which comes after this game. One of those days we're going to have Dom Taberry on, and
Awesome.
it'll be a trio. It should be a treat. It should be a trio treat. Just talking about all kinds of different things, hoping to hold it to an hour. But
We'll see.
Clay, I always enjoy being on with you, my man.
Thank you for your leadership, Tim May, being the captain and offensive coordinator of our team.
Now somebody's got to land this thing. Somebody's got to land this thing. All right, flaps down, gear down, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, this is Tim May for Clay Hall. We'll see you then.